Because we have 1 more minute, slightly less than. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, all of you, to this session on reviving the earth, digital transformation in combating desertification and water challenges, where we will look at some applications of emerging technologies, some policy aspects, some aspects from private sector on how they are working with emerging technologies to address some of these challenges. So as you know, there's an increasing pressure on our land and water resources due to various factors like climate change, of course, the growing population, and club that with unsustainable practices for managing our land and water resources. But not everything is lost. We have hope, especially with some of the emerging technologies that we see, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital twins, Internet of Things, and others, which can help us address some of these challenges in new ways. The integration of these technologies can enhance our land and water management practices in various ways, improve our ability to monitor, to predict, and also improve the decision-making processes that we have. So this will lead to a more efficient and sustainable use of our land and water resources. So basically today's session, we just want to have a dialogue among different stakeholders on how digital transformation can be leveraged to better enhance the land and water resources management practices to combat desertification and water-related challenges. So we have an esteemed group of speakers who have diverse backgrounds from the UN, from semi-government agencies, from private sector, who will offer different perspectives on how they are employing emerging technologies to address these challenges. So I would like to start with Dr. Viren Kim. Dr. Viren has been the chief of the Hydrological and Water Resources Services section of the World Meteorological Organization in Geneva since 2019. So this section supports the members, hydrological and water resources services by coordinating diverse projects and programs, some of which we will learn today, such as the associated program on flood management, the flash flood guidance system, community of practice, and many more. Before joining WMO, Dr. Viren Kim was with the Ministry of Environment, Republic of Korea, where she was the leader of the forecasting and disaster risk reduction team of the Han River Flood Control Office, mainly working in areas of flood forecasting and integrated water resources management. She brings a lot of knowledge from the operational side based on her experiences from Korea, but also before joining WMO, she's been an expert working with a lot of different publications and contributing to the efforts of WMO. So without further ado, I would now give the floor to Dr. Kim to take us through some of the developments that WMO has been having in this field. Please give a round of applause to Dr. Kim.
Thank you so much, Nakur. Fortunately, today I don't need to shout. Actually, yesterday it was very noisy. And then the same time, the parallel session was held at other booths. So I had to shout to make sure that my voice is listened. But today, luckily, it's less loud and noisy, and I could see many participants today for our session. Thank you for coming. As Nakur, our moderator, already introduced me very nicely, I will skip, and I just focus on my presentation today. As you may know, land use is very important for water resources management. How you change the land and also the place become urbanization, it will create much more risk for the flood as well as drought and many other issues. So it's very important when you planning the land, make sure how it will give the effect to the environment because it will cause the problem to us, not just to nature. So I want to make sure that how this kind of land use and also degradation will change the water resource management. Uh, I'm just wanted to introduce you a little bit about WMO if you never heard about our organization. WMO is a World Meteorological Organization that specialized UN agency for climate, weather, and water hydrology. You might be familiar listening from WHO due to the COVID and also WTO. So we are the same like other world organizations. So basically, we are based in headquarters in Geneva. You can see our building here. And if you come to Geneva, feel free to contact us. I'm happy to greet you there. And if you come to my office, sixth floor in this building, you will get maybe some gift from us to celebrate 20 years anniversary associate program on flood management. We have a very pretty blue t-shirts. And also for the fresh flood guidance system, we have another nice t-shirts and also rain poncho. So don't feel shy, just contact us and come to us. I believe my email address will be in the last slide. So capture it and feel free to contact me. And we served 193 member states. Most of you, I believe all of you will be part of our WMO member states. And we support not only climate, weather, and hydrology, as I mentioned. We support developed, published standard, and also technical guidelines, regulation, but also we support a lot for the capacity building. We do have a capacity development program, virtual training, and also hands-on training. Not only WMO regular funding, we received a lot of extra budgetary project funding from outside, like USAID, World Bank, Adaptation Fund, GCF, or CRUISE. Or expertise funds and IDB, all of them gave us some funding to implement specific project for all of you, especially having the forecasting system or training for the forecasters, but not only National Hydrological Meteorological Services, but also with supporting national disaster managers, stakeholders, even local community and government, and supporting gender mainstream. So we have a variety courses of training programs, and also we supporting many other initiatives, including community-based approach and gender empowerment. You might heard the news many times about the climate change, and the record has been newly created again and again. See the graph. It's kind of scary. The temperature, global mean temperature since 1815, we never had such a high temperature. Every year, it seems like the record has been renewed again and again. So here, how it changed. It's big difference from since 1980 and sharply increase. What does that mean? High temperature. Do we need to buy more air conditioning as it's getting warm? No, actually it caused a lot of disaster. You never heard about Dubai had flood before. And you heard it very recently. Even Dubai airport has been inundated because of the flood. Not only the happening in many other Asian countries, but it happened everywhere actually in the world. Africa, you faced so many like Libya flood. It's a huge damage. How many people died? It's incredible. Also in Dubai, I just captured one of the picture. It has been inundated because of the flood, which the country usually recognizes as a drought, water shortage. But here you see the flood. And also in Iraq, there's always happening drought, but it is become more severe. You feel like if there is a flood, maybe the country do not have a drought issue. That's not true. Because when the flood comes, you do not have enough space to contain the water. Then you face again the several months later or year later no water to use. So it's happening in Africa, Asia, but also in Europe. Maybe you heard about very recently Valencia in Spain. Big flood came, fresh flood came. Central Europe was had a heavy fresh flood and also landslide. So it's happening everywhere. Not only least developed countries, also developed country has a lot of suffer. And United States got a lot of hurricane. You might heard the Hurricane Mitty, and there's continuously having the issue. So having the increase of the temperature, climate change is everywhere in the world. What we do in WMO, we're trying to support whole value chain. For the early warning system, you need not only the system, forecasting system itself, you need monitoring system. You need monitoring how much precipitation came, what about the water level, what about this river discharge. You have to check and see the status and using the modeling and forecasting analysis, what's going to happen 3 hours later, 6 hours later. For the flash flood, for those water resources management, you need 6 months, 1 year, or seasonal, sub-seasonal hydrological prediction as well. And the information has to be disseminated very well. For example, Valencia cases, we saw it even though the forecasting result was good and it was shared with other stakeholders, but it took a lot of time to reach out to the public. There's a communication issue and the gaps. So it is very important not only providing good accuracy of the forecasting result, but it is also important having good information to deliver to people. And people should know what to do before the flood, during the flood, or after the flood, because sometimes they took a lot of risk without knowing what to do and got the more risk and more damage. So it is also important to giving good information, detailed information, what they have to do, and be prepared a little bit. If you have some drilled training for the public, that will be very helpful. Also, giving the information to the vulnerable people who need more time to evacuate, that is also very efficient. So WMO has a lot of experience on that and trying to support all our members, 193. And this is our early warning for all initiative. Maybe you heard about it in 2022. The World Met Day, United States Secretary General Antonio Guterres mentioned early warning for all, every single person in the world should be able to receive the early warning system and protected by early warning system in 5 years, 2027. It's kind of very ambitious statement, but we're trying our best to make it in the year. And also not only until 2027, we will continue to work on that. This is not only WMO, there are many other UN entities supporting, including ITU, UNDRR. So we are supporting all the pillars. As I mentioned earlier about WMO extra budgetary project funded by many multiple donors, there are some of the examples. I cannot bring you all the project, what's going on in our division, our branch, but just some of information, like a flash flood guidance system with global coverage. So far, we have been implement 73 countries and their operational use. It will be extended over 100 because we got more funding and it is expanded to West Africa, Central Africa, Southwest India Ocean, and also Pacific, Caribbean. So in the small island, they will also receive this forecasting system, guidance system, to use forecaster to better guidance to public and to provide the information in advance to the all stakeholders. And also there's another good example I want to mention that we implemented in the Volta Basin, which is transboundary river basin for the 6 countries. And then this is combining with flood and drought. As I mentioned earlier, the country is suffering not only because of the flood and drought, multi-hazard. So in this system, they're using the monitoring and also they're using drought hazard map, risk hazard map, and having the operational system and making automatic bulletin so they can share with other stakeholders and also public. So those are one of the best examples that I want to share with you today, but there are a lot more projects are ongoing over 120 countries focus on water resources, of course, flood and hazard, and drought. And here I want to introduce the new working group, which was very recently launched at ITU, but of course WMO and other UN agencies. During the first UN Virtual Day, we had a launching event because this working group, digital transformation on hydrology and water resources, we're trying to see what is the emerging technology, not just using traditional methodology, but trying to see how AI can be helpful. What about digital twins? What about metaverse? There are many, many new technology we can use it for it. Because, within the new technology, we may fill the gap, the lack of the human resources and lack of the funds and financial resources. So during this working group, we already started working on it. And it is for the not only UN agency, but also public sector, private sector, academia as well. The thing is, we already published one publication, which I can maybe next slide, sorry. You can scan. So you can scan here for the more information. We published already, it just started this year, but we already published one publication which called United Science 2024, including all the case study, what's happening in the world. Like my next speaker from Korea, he will present it, how they use AI flood forecasting in their national services, how digital twin can show that which area will be inundated and affected by flood. So those technology is no longer totally new. Some of the country they're already using for the national services. So our support and trying to nobody behind. So we are working in WMO, working with the AI flood forecasting case study and also pilot study with our partners, targeting one country in Africa, one country in Asia, one in South America, one in Europe. The result may come the end of next year. Maybe we can be possibly extended it. And I already mentioned most of them and mentioned about pilot AI-based flood forecasting. I am looking at moderator. Do I have enough time? Okay, one more minute. I just talk about flood forecasting, AI and digital twin, but monitoring is also important, observation. And I know it's quite expensive. You have to buy instrument, you have to build the stations. So to reduce the money and the finance resources, recently, that's what I said, I have to shout. 3D, we now have a 3D printing weather automatic services stations and also hydrological observation stations that we developed with our partners and implemented several countries. It's very cheap. And if it's broken, you can make another one used by using the 3D printing. And the accuracy is quite good. And the thing is that we are not just providing you 3D printing equipment, but we also providing capacity building and training program. So you know how to maintain by yourself, you know how to operate by yourself, and also you can even make the new 3D printing service stations by yourself. And we do have Hydro Hub Innovation Core and also supporting global initiative on resilience to national hazard through AI solution. I think this is the end of my slides. And then here is my email address as I promised. So please feel free to contact us if you have opportunity to come to Geneva. I will wait for you in the 6th floor in WMO building. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Viren, for that very comprehensive presentation. Very interesting to see the lot of work that we are doing, especially to support our member states. Now I will go on to our next speaker, Dr. Kwang Sik Kyun. Dr. Kwang Sik Kyun is a senior research fellow at the Korea Institute of Civil Engineering and Building Technology. He has over 28 years of experience and he's been carrying out research on technologies for flood analysis. More recently, he has been involved in conducting studies on the application of AI techniques that can efficiently predict flood and be also applied to flood forecasting systems, not just in Korea, but I also understand he's now expanded to many countries across the region. So his research aims to develop an efficient flood forecasting tool for basins with limited lead time, with the expectation that by integrating advanced technologies like AI and digital twins, it will greatly reduce the damage of the floods. So without further ado, I would invite Dr. Yoon to present about the work that he's undertaking in Korea.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced by Mr. Prasad, I came from Korea, KICT, to introduce the AI-based flood forecasting techniques and application. I will tell you about my experience to develop the AI model and the application to the Korea and the ASEAN countries. I would like to introduce KICT briefly. KICT established in 1983 and research institute under the Ministry of Science and ICT. And objectives of establishment is first one is develop disaster resilience infrastructure construction technology. Second is ensure sustainable environments for citizens living. Third one is take the lead in core technologies for smart construction. And last is develop new markets and innovate in infrastructure construction technologies. KST has 9 research departments and 906 steps, including 701 researchers. Climate change increased damage in flood. So as you know well, and we need some countermeasures to reduce the flood damage and skip. And what is AI? Artificial intelligence is recognized situation, judges, and acts logically and performs creatively, as you know. Flood forecasting is to predict of water level, flow rate, time of occurrence, and the duration of floods caused by rainfall or melting snow. And there are 3 components in flood forecasting. First one is accuracy, second one is timeliness, and last one is reliability. This is current system of Korea. The procedure is to monitor hydrological data such as rainfall, water level, dam operations, etc., and predict flood with numerical model and issue flood forecasting to the public. And rainfall model is applied as a model. Yes, this is an issue and challenge. Issues to be solved in Korea. In order to reduce flood damage, the scope flood forecasting should be increased to small and medium-sized rivers. And conventional flood forecasting, as I told you, method have limitations in terms manpower and calculation time to increase the number of flood forecasting sites. And to solve this problem, there is a need for method that can automatically predict flood in short time. There are challenges: application of AI to flood forecasting, utilization of long-term hydrological data for AI, and development of decision-making system for flood forecasting. This is project in Korea. 223 water level stations applied to AI model development in Korea nationwide. And the priority for AI model application target points is high flood risk area and stations with sufficient hydrological data. AI model strongly need sufficient hydrological data. This is a schematic diagram of AI flood forecasting. And the AI model, AI system added to existing system of Korea. So both of systems run to predict flood. This is a result of AI prediction results prediction, and you can see most of stations shows very good grade by Nash shock clip efficiency. Most of stations shows blue color, sky blue. Sky blue means very good. And we apply AI model to overseas. This is in progress project. The test bed selected for application AI-based flood forecasting. The Marikana River in Philippines, Citarum River in Indonesia, Namsong River in Laos. This is a preliminary result of the AI application. You can see the result of is very good. Yes. Improvement direction and for AI-based flood forecasting. And first one is we need big data collection and advanced information collection. And we should develop the AI flood prediction algorithm based on big data, such as various hydrological data and rainfall radar. Future research direction is to improve and automate for management of data quality, apply the edge computing technology for rapid disaster response and observation, sensor development for flood-related big data. I would like to suggest WO members have many regions with different climates, topography, and social conditions. So it is possible to apply various test beds for research. And so sharing the experience and research activities for improvement and application of AI, DT, big data, etc., can be proposed for use in many fields. Thank you so much.
If you are interested in the pilot study AI flood forecasting, contact Dr. Yoon. Seems like so far you are already working for the Southeast Asia pilot.
Thank you, Dr. Yun, for that interesting presentation. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions from the participants. We'll also have a few minutes for any quick questions that participants have. But in the interest of time, we would now move on to the next speaker. So it's a bit different, the next topic. Of course, you heard about some applications of emerging tech, but are members really ready to take on that challenge? So UNDP has developed a tool which sort of assesses members' capacity or maturity in terms of adopting these digital technologies. So we have Mr. Ronald Jackson, who has over 23 years of experience in disaster risk reduction, recovery, and management. Currently, he's head of the Disaster Risk Reduction, Recovery, and Resilience Building Team within the Crisis Bureau at the United Nations Development Program. He's served as the Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency for 7 years where he led the framing of the 2014 to 2024 Comprehensive Disaster Management Strategy for CARICOM and the development of the Caribbean Pathway for Resilience in 2018. He was also instrumental in establishing the first Caribbean Consortium for Multi-Hazard Early Warning Systems in 2019, the establishment of the Regional Training Center, and the Caribbean Risk Information System in 2018 and 2019, respectively. He has also served as the Director General and Deputy Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management in Jamaica, where he received a certificate of commendation from the Caribbean community for his contribution to the rescue and recovery efforts in the aftermath of the January 2010 Haiti earthquake. So I give the floor to Ronald to take us through some of the work that UNDP is doing.
Thank you very much, Nakul, for your kind introduction. As you heard from the moderator, I will be talking more about how we optimize some of the technology solutions you heard presented before. Let me start with just, as the previous speakers did, a quick background about UNDP. Generally, UNDP is a development agency which I think offers services across a number of areas associated with the SDGs. But in particular, we lead, in particular, in my case, I lead the Disaster Reduction, Recovery and Resilience Building team, which is focused on delivering a number of services, particularly around what we call risk-informed development, driving a comprehensive and integrated agenda for bringing risk within the development practice and decision-making processes. As you see on screen, we're one of the lead agencies as mandated by the General Assembly resolution. There are a number of other agencies which are providing those services and supporting the delivery of the Sendai framework for disaster reduction. But also, if you take an integrated view on these issues, it is also contributing to the realization of the Paris Agreement, leveraging some of the other international instruments such as the UNCCD instruments on drought and desertification and on biodiversity. We have also played a unique role in bringing what is certainly one of the successful multi-UN partnerships to look at capacity assessment for disaster reduction and climate change, which we call country. We're subscribed to by more than 20 partners, UN and non-UN actors. Started out with the World Bank also being a part of it, and a number of think tanks. And it has survived the test of time and really left a lasting legacy in terms of what it delivers. So, within the work we do on disaster risk reduction, as I said before, it is really aimed at delivering risk-informed development through a comprehensive range of services along four pillars, as you see on the screen, or four thematic areas designed to support delivery on the Sendai framework agreement, Paris Agreement, and some of the others as I indicated before. And as you can see from not really a very good color, but from the graphic, we have elements that are looking at providing comprehensive set of risk information to improve decision intelligence. So some of what we have heard from the colleagues who spoke before, we are engaged in not just doing risk analytics along a linear pathway, but really blending other approaches, right? Looking at how we integrate futures, foresight approaches, non-linearity into decision-making process, and that happens within our risk information column that is looking at making the business case, both for the political decisions and the economic decisions around why we should invest in this. And as you see on some of the others, the integrated risk governance portfolio, which is really bringing the institutional support, capacity assessment, but also looking at it within specific contexts, such as in an urban context. And of course, early warning systems and preparedness, which we have a long track record. You've heard about the early warnings. So all UNDP has been a long investor in early warning systems going back several decades. In fact, starting point. And so we developed this digital disaster risk reduction maturity fund called DDRR, very long acronym. It was developed under a regional project entitled Accelerating Disaster Risk Reduction and Enhancing Crisis Response for Digital Solutions, what we call the D4 Resilience Program. Building on its long experience of establishing nationally owned, and I think that's important, nationally owned loss and damage tracking systems, we are keen on pursuing digitalization using a whole of government approach to ensure that the benefits of digitalization are not siloed. Certainly, we see we invest in these very important approaches, but they remain quite siloed, not speaking. So our goal is to ensure that they're not siloed, but continue to build resilience to disasters and climate change. And here we're talking about all hazards approach. I know that the session is focusing on water. And of course, yes, water is certainly the highest contributor to the losses we've seen, both in terms of infrastructure and otherwise. And water, whether it is more too much water or too little water, is certainly one of the major causes of the losses we've seen. So we see this as an entry point, and our investment is really to expand the range of hazards. But yes, it is certainly applicable as we think about how countries are dealing with these water-related issues, with climate change being one of the amplifiers. So, just a quick background on the DDRRM. As you see on screen, it provides some benchmarking around progress towards realizing the full potential of your technologies. It identifies areas where improvements are required, and it provides a standard evaluating process around your progress going forward. Now, how does it work? The tool undertakes a digital diagnostic and assess digital maturity levels across 7 components with 23 subcomponents and 80 elements. Scoring takes place on a scale 0 to 5 and is undertaken at the element level. Ultimately, the final score that you will get, which lies between 0 to 5, will give you a good sense of where you are on that spectrum and help you target your investments in terms of strategy towards what is the appropriate metrics, right? So you want to get to an optimized level. But we do know that there are countries who are operating across all the 5 spectrum, and how we design and support them will very much depend on where they are. We meet them where they are, we tailor intervention from there to them to the next level. Working against time. So the tool is applied so far in Asia Pacific, and I won't go into too much of the details given the challenges of time, but as you can see here, we have interventions in Indonesia, in Nepal, Sri Lanka, and the Philippines, and there are specific reports and strategies prepared and produced for them. And we've now, in a partnership with UNAR, targeted another 13 countries. And if you know the flags, you can tell them there. But Portugal, Sudan, Niger, Mauritius are some of the countries we're now focusing our attention on. And yeah, just quickly, in the interest of time, just to give you a good sense of what the tool covers in terms of clusters, we do work across several institutions in government. And so we've applied this so far in, as I've said before, a number of countries. The table shows you the low scores of the bottom third countries across all components and the efforts they need to make to really lift their game. And so I leave you there with some key takeaways from the session. Most important, government leadership. Context specific, we have to tailor according to where countries are. Global standards with country adaptation, so moving from global to local. And digital ecosystems are critical if we are to deliver and learning and sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald, for running us through the tool. Sorry, we didn't have much time to go in depth, but we have these presentations online as well, so feel free to have a look and reach out to the colleagues. So we have the last speaker, who's from Saudi Arabia. She works with the private sector, so you also hear from the private sector how they are using emerging tech for some of their challenges. So Rafa is an MBA qualified technology solutions and innovation manager with over 25 years of experience in technology, entrepreneurship, service design, and business development. She has a proven track record in founding successful startups, implementing innovative technological solutions, and designing user centric services. She specializes in solving complex business challenges through strategic insight and technological expertise. Currently, she is serving as the Technology Solutions and Innovation Manager at Red Sea Global, where she leads initiatives that integrate cutting edge technologies to enhance operational efficiency, sustainability, and customer experience. With a focus on sustainability, she is dedicated to driving transformative process that balance innovation with environmental stewardship so that you can benchmark for smart and sustainable solutions. So Rafa, I give the floor to you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for the panelists for the great presentations you delivered so far. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I'm going to focus my presentation on the role of innovation and how we can leverage technologies, and to really prepare and build our future and our sustainable future. So today is really about collaborating all together in tackling these sustainable issues and really sharing some of the insights from our projects we've made or some of the initiatives we've made toward building a sustainable future. So closer. Okay, thank you. So today, technology serves as a catalyst and an enabler in our journey toward a sustainable environment, and it helps us really tackle some of the most pressing issues and challenges in our environment. So, for example, we find, and the data we collected from some of our initiatives has actually helped us refine our approach and help us really build a more sustainable result. So, for example, in one of the initiatives we implemented, we find out that really really the data we collected, the insights we gathered, and the results we analyzed is actually what's going to make a difference in our next initiative. So, for example, in one of the initiatives about really modern technologies, we figured out during the pilot project that it's not only about saving the cost saving or the CO2 emission, it's actually also more things to observe and more values to realize. So one of the really great findings that applying these technologies is actually cutting also the logistic part of the project. So instead of requiring 23 tracks to transfer the panels from a location to another, we only use the three tracks. And you can imagine how this is going to impact at the end our environment and our sustainability and our results. So innovation is really about collecting data, taking insights, and really work about analyzing these findings to build more sustainable initiatives and for continuous improvements. So finally, I'm going to mention how we're going to scale, scale innovation. Scaling is again about really looking into the data, analyze it, getting insights, and work based on data-driven insights instead of just really looking into the innovation. So by collecting these data, these insights, we can really make a difference. And by collaborating together, we can really tackle some of the most pressing issues. So again, technology today is really, we're at a point where really can make a difference and really can push the boundaries. And it's all about collaboration and working together to really tackle these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rafa, for that quick presentation. So we have a few minutes for some questions that I have for the panel, but very brief. We'll try to see if we can also get some questions from the audience in the meantime. But I would like to start with our last speaker, Rafa, with a quick question that I wanted to ask about the work that you're undertaking in Red Sea Global. So I understand Red Sea Global is developing world-class tourism destinations along Saudi Arabia's west coast. And while, of course, you are looking at enhancing tourism, but you're doing it in a responsible way while promoting sustainability and initiatives to protect the environment. So I just wanted to ask, how does innovation help Red Sea Global to identify emerging technologies and integrate them into your work processes?
Okay, thank you very much. So basically, through innovation, actually, we were able to find and enable startups who are working on certain solutions and products to validate, test, and enable them to access our ecosystem. So innovation is basically a way for everyone to enhance, refine, and find a new way to develop the products and make it more applicable into the market.
Thank you, Rafa. Uh, so I see that there's a lot of value that innovation adds, especially to the work that you are undertaking. And I think responsible application of these technologies to protect the environment is crucial. Now I move on to our third speaker, Ronald. UNDP has been leading international development and addressing a multitude of areas such as policy, strengthening institutional capacities, and also helping members achieve SDGs. So, can you provide an example of how UNDP has been able to build ownership on the initiative on digitalization for disaster risk reduction in the country? And what steps and measures did UNDP take? But very brief.
Yeah, just quickly, I'll single out the Philippines, where at the outset we engaged the National Disaster Management Agency in the Philippines in the original scoping and designing of the project specific for the Philippines so that there's buy-in. And then we presented this to their National Disaster Management Council to get the full endorsement because the application really requires engaging, as I said before, all of government institution on this exercise. Um, then afterwards, we applied the tool with the blessing both of the National Disaster Management Agency and the Council to about 17 national level institutions and to ensure that there was institutionalization of the process, we did training with the members, selected members of the institution, to carry on the exercise and to utilize the tool. So yes, a strategy came out of it, but we really worked hard to build local ownership by doing those things, engaging at the design stage, working with the council for approval, and then working on building the capacity of the local actors to carry forward.
Thanks, Ronald, for the example on Philippines. I think that really adds some value and how we can replicate to other countries as well. Uh, Now I move on to Dr. Kwang Suk-yeon. So KICT has been, as we saw in the presentation, engaged in some interesting work on applying emerging technologies such as AI and digital twins to improve flood forecasting and water resources management, but not just in Korea, but beyond as well. So just a quick question. How does KICT incorporate capacity building into its efforts, especially applying these emerging technologies in developing countries?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. In order to apply emerging technology to developing countries, it seems to other countries, all countries, it seems necessary to share the need for the application of the technology. It is also necessary to evaluate the current situation of the country where the technology is applied, for example, the quantity of hydrological data and the quality of data. And it is necessary to create a plan for how to improve it. In addition, understanding of the technology and the sharing of the application experience were carried out so that the benefit of applying this technology could be fully agreed upon as a fundamental process. Eventually, this whole process is an important element of capacity building, and it seems to be momentum to apply the emerging technologies through this progress. Thank
Thank you, Dr. Yun. I agree with you on having the shared need with the members in terms of applying the technology, and also data plays a quite critical role there. So moving on to the final question to Viren, as you mentioned that WMO is a UN specialized agency supporting efforts in weather, climate, water, disaster risk reduction. And based on your experience, do you think emerging technologies like AI can replace human actions related to forecasting for floods and so on, based on your experience?
Thank you so much, Nakur. From my experience, because I'm the one who used the traditional hydrological forecasting models and also the methodology, I believe still we need a forecaster, still we need humans to adjust the AI or other the new technology to use and make a better forecasting result. As you might have been using ChatGPT or many other AI tools, when I checked a couple of times, and by using that tool, ask some question, very technical question that I asked, and I saw the answers was not 100% correct. Still, they are collecting information from around the web, and then the information mostly is very useful, but not 100% is the correct information. So I believe still we need fact check. And as Dr. Yoon already explained that they are using the traditional hydrological forecasting, AI forecasting together in the system, it's kind of a complementary. So not just we don't because of the AI we don't need human. I don't think we still need the human that who has expertise, who has experience, and making good adjustment and better result. So that's from my experience, but of course they might have a different opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Firin, and I fully agree. I guess we just probably need to reskill ourselves when these new technologies come up. I know we are running out of time, just a couple of minutes, but I would like to open the floor for any questions from the participants. Dr. Murli.
Thank you. Very interesting and enlightening panel. My question is to the professor from Korea. In my last job, I used to be dealing with the crisis management. By the way, I'm Murli Tumargudi, director of the G20 Global Land Initiative. And in that process, I came across some work where they were forecasting urban flooding from Twitter feeds, using the tweets which people make, what is called X now. And they were using that and no hydrological data at all, only from Twitter feeds in a massive level. So I want to ask you, are you familiar with that work of people using Twitter and AI to predict floods? And if you are, how does it work compare with the AI approach which you are using? And also, how is the AI-based approach comparing with the traditional approach of flood forecasting? Thank you.
I have a question. You talked about urban inundation or river flood.
Both, actually. Both.
Yeah, both. Yeah. Yes, there's two. now there are two ways to predict flood in the rivers: conventional and AI. So conventional both of method is important to predict flood forecasting, and the AI need the difference of conventional method and AI method is AI need a lot of data and qualified data. If we have no a lot of data and qualified data, we cannot develop the AI model. Before developing AI model, we should use conventional model to predict flood forecasting. And in view of urban inundation, urban flood, we need some hydrological data. Do you have any stations to monitor the water level, inundation level in urban area? We have no stations. Firstly, we install the stations to monitor the urban area. Do I answer?
Yeah, Professor, I was asking a slightly different question. There is one set of people who are predicting floods only using what people are tweeting about flood. So tweets and images, no urban data, no hydrological data, but they are predicting floods. So are you familiar with social media? So are you familiar with this work? And if not, then of course we can discuss it later. Thank you.
I think we can discuss further because there are a lot to discuss, and we keep receiving the warning from the organizer that we have to close. 3 minutes left. We can continue. Well, he asked a question and leaving the room. Can you bring him back? Director, come back to us. We have 3 minutes. We can answer.
You talked about prediction of social media based on monitoring.
No, opposite actually. Some people are collecting the tweets which people make, you can buy from the Twitter company. So this professor was collecting all the tweets people are making and then using AI to predict the progression of the flood through France.
Yes.
And then there are many other countries which are now using that technology. So they have no hydrological data. They're just, completely pattern recognition.
Yeah, I got it. And that is one of the prediction method. And we need some data and reference how much how much inundate we have the data in advance. I don't know Twitter how the Twitter provide the prediction of the inundation or flood. So I think they have some data to compare the real the inundation depths or flood depths, and they will use photograph and artificial satellite the data, I think, and if we gather the data from the inundation area, flood area, and we can train the data to predict the flood. So I think it's a possible thing.
May I? So I understand what your question is. People share the information, what is really happening in the field by using Twitter and other social media. Forecaster can use it to verify, but the thing is, it's happening now. For forecasting, need to read the time to make sure the people be prepared earlier than 3 hours, 6 hours. It might take more than days to make people to move to safer place. So we can use the social media to verify our forecasting result. But it might be a little bit tricky just using Twitter and social media information for the little bit longer time, lead time. to make sure the disaster managers have enough time to prepare and prevent the damage. So it might be also very useful, but still I believe we need forecasting to be prepared, right?
Okay, thank you everyone. I think we are at the end of the session. I would like to thank once again all the panelists for their wonderful presentations. And you have hopefully taken the contact addresses. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So a final round of applause for all the panelists.